Alrighty, we are live. Coming to you from Columbus, OH, and it is answering your financial questions. Live. Coming to you from Columbus, OH. Okay. Seems a little low. Switch back to the other mic. Let's go ahead and just kick that up a little bit. There we go. Maybe because the heater's on and it's picking that up too. Anyway, I think here we'll see what goes up with that. What goes up with it? What goes on with that? Alrighty. I am Coach Steve Money. I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And you can find my financial content on youtube.com/coachstevemoney. And as I get to it, right below the Oak Island playlist is my financial content, the Ramsey Show After Show, and the Answering Your Financial Question stream, which is this one. Let's answer some questions. I did mute it this time. Let's answer. Okay. Okay, demand 3197. Do you guys follow a rule for what % of your net worth should be spent on a car? Do you guys? So doesn't care if it's Ramsey advice or not, maybe. Not sure if Dave has a rule on this. He absolutely does. It's not a percentage of your net worth. That doesn't matter at all. It's your income. It's everything altogether that you own that has wheels or motors in it. All of that combined can be no more than 50% of your annual income. And so that's what you would do on that. I mean, 5% of net worth seems like it, might be all right, but sometimes you don't need to spend that much. So that would be, anyway, the Ramsey is not based on, Ramsey advice is not based on the net worth in this case, as far as what you should be spent on a car. And that's not what should be spent on a car. That means everything you have, boats, motorcycles, cars, all of that together should be no more than 50% of your annual gross pay. Work-life science, buy an apartment or wait. Okay, generally, I mean, you can buy an apartment in the United States, but generally that's a out of the United States thing. Like in the bloody UK or some bloody way like that. But let's see. Hi guys, I'm not very knowledgeable about the Dave Ramsey method and just came across him on YouTube and appreciate his direct, no BS style. Me too. Our background, husband and I are both 36, have one kid, won't have more, no debt, excellent, thanks to free education in the European Union, in the bloody EU. We live abroad in a high cost of living area, of course you do, and are renting an apartment. We're abroad because it has allowed a better education and okay paying jobs. Just okay paying, better education and just okay paying jobs. Household income, 70 euros after taxes. I think that's euro, right? Able to save 30K euros a year if we manage to keep our current jobs. Okay, well, hey, got a great idea. Don't get fired. We're fairly frugal, and our biggest expenses are rent, food, flights back home twice a year. Current savings 180 euro. I think that's euros. I don't think that's, yeah, that's not, because the L would be if it was bloody quid. Childcare, healthcare, retirement, etc. is included in the 60K. All right, gonna have to see what's more, because we're gonna need more numbers. So you would treat the buying the apartment the same as you would treat the buying a house. Sorry, one moment. Where was I? Because we need a bit more. Yeah, we'd have to have more information than they give us than we've read so far. So let's see. Current savings 180K. We did that. Childcare, healthcare, retirement, etc. is included in the 60K taxes we pay per year. Okay. Retirement, it's not really, but I mean, that would be along with the deductions in your paycheck, like if it was a work sponsored retirement program. So, not technically included in the taxes, but I think that's what they mean. Our current plan would be to save up CA. I don't know what CA means. Maybe about something that means about 90K more in the next 3 years and move home. Then we can buy an apartment for 250K euros in cash to move home. Where's home? I don't think they said where home was, but regardless, it would still be the same idea. Although we'd have to settle for lower paying jobs, and that might be a problem. So if you're moving back home, maybe that's not a high cost of living area that you're like the one you're living in now. If we'd want to say where we are now long term buying home, here would cost, stay, not say. Did write say right there, but meant stay. Buying a home here would cost 50 to 500 to 600. No, maybe not. Especially not if you're only going to have one child. So you would not necessarily buy a 3-bedroom for like family that's going to come twice a year. To say you don't buy a house for that, you just put them in a hotel for the week they come here if you want to pay for it, or they can pay for it, and that wouldn't be it wouldn't be a nice place. Okay, well, that's too high of a cost of living area for you. I mean, and that's the way it works sometimes. All the reasons that you move there, the better education, supposedly, all that costs. Let's see, a home where it would be actually be nice to live, and that's subjective depending on the person. So I can't tell you what's going to be nice to you, and it might be nice though, but you are going to be the one putting the limitations on yourself of if you want to buy too much house, buy a very expensive house when you don't need it. And a smaller, cheaper place can be nice. Anyway, it would cost up to, I guess, 600K. I don't feel comfortable paying that. Yeah, you shouldn't, especially if you're not going to be having high paying jobs. I don't have anyone talk about my options because my parents were handed everything in life. Jealous. Have the person writing, not me, have no experience on finding their own way in life. My husband is a dreamer. Okay, so it's all on you, baby doll, right? You have to be the smart one. But see, you're trying to be the smart one and be frugal, etc., but you also want something that's nice enough. And I feel like you might be trying to overshoot here. But anyway, I'm sure happy works and brings an okay salary home. I know there are many unknowns. Right, so what we don't know is what your income will be where you move. And that's what you will have to have. You will have to have the annual income, the annual gross income, determining the mortgage amount. And that is crazy, dude. That is, because she was saying $500,000 to $600,000 for an apartment. That is crazy, but that's how it goes there. It's like Australia or something. Crazy economics there. Um, but it would, yeah, and you didn't say your income. I don't think it said expenses either. Savings, just the amount of savings. So, yeah, so you need to put up enough down payments so that the mortgage would be about 2.5 times your gross salary combined. And so that would be it. And that probably is not going to be anywhere near that 5 to 600K. So that is definitely out, but that's where it would be. And so if you're looking at where you're going to buy, if there's going to be cheaper paying jobs, then guess what? You'll be getting a cheaper apartment if you want to buy it. So what you could also do, and what you might do, since you're not living there, you apparently have lived there, because you're talking about moving back home. But you might want to rent an apartment for a year, and that'll allow you to save more money. And then you can decide if you actually want to stay in that area over that year. But you did not give the salary, so I can't give you an exact answer, but that's what it would be. You have to put enough down payment so that the mortgage is only about 2.5 times your annual salary, gross salary. Mortgage payoff strategy. That means every bit of money that's left over after addressing steps 4, 15% to retirement. Step 5, saving a little bit for kid college. The younger they are, the smaller that amount can be per month. But as long as you're addressing it or have a plan for it, then anything beyond that that's extra money, that goes to the money to pay it off earlier. And so what you would not be doing during that time, as I said yesterday on the Ramsey Show After Show, and that starts at 11:05 a.m. on the mornings that I am able to do that. Weekdays, Monday through Friday. But what I said about that was you would not be doing extra investing beyond the 15%. That money goes to the house. If you keep the mortgage around and invest more, since the investment earnings would likely be more than your mortgage interest, that is what we call debt leverage. And Mr. Ramsey is the no debt guy, yes, but also the no debt leverage guy. So that's a no on that. You would pay off the house first, and then you can have other investments in whatever you want to in addition to your retirement. Plan. Let's see. Miserable, cancel, 87. Oh, I didn't even read it. Let's see what he has to say here. Wife and I owe about 200K at 6.3, 300K home. Plan on being in for the next 5 to 7 years. We're fortunate to have high income. Okay. Decided we wanted to live debt free from here on out. Great. Then we should have no problems with you trying to do things a stupid way then, right? So we're committed to paying off the mortgage. Great. In the next few years. Great. That means you're not spending money on any other stuff, and you are only investing the 15% of gross salary of gross salary to retirement. If we have a 2 to 3 year payoff timeline, is it better to pay it down in chunks monthly or quarterly, or save the cash in a high yield savings account until we have the full payoff amount? No, that's generally not going to work out, because even a high yield savings account, the mortgage interest might be more. So if you want to play that game, go ahead and do it. But as soon as you put $1 to it, you're going to be paying less interest on it. And that the more money you pay to it, that's going to be less overall interest. So you can try to beat that in a high yield savings account. That is not the advice. The advice is to keep pumping money into the mortgage so that it gets paid off quickly. Let's see, we already have a 5-month emergency fund and are paying into our employer retirement plans, and that's exactly what you should be doing. It should be only 15% of gross income, though, gross pay annually. It should not be more than that. So you shouldn't be putting extra. I'm leaning toward the high yield savings account route because it gives us a cushion in case of job loss. That's what your emergency fund is. So you don't need anything on top of that. We work in tech, but I'd like to hear from the community's thoughts. That's my thoughts. Put all extra money to the mortgage. What up, Shell? How is life and stuff? And I hope you're having a lovely new year. I am excellent. I took off an incredibly long amount of time, like a Dave Ramsey kind of vacation there during the holidays preceding it and afterwards. But now my work schedule is settling down a little bit more, so I'll be able to do more streams. But yeah, I took off about, gosh, two or 3 weeks completely from financial streams. And then I did one, and then I missed like another month or so. So yeah, Dave Ramsey amount of Dave-cation type of times. But yeah, I'm good. I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're doing really well. That's so excellent. Who is this? This is Miserable Cancel 8749, halfway on the mortgage. Let's go ahead and open this up. Took out a $325K mortgage in early 2019. As of the end of December, the balance will be $164,900. Almost exactly half after 81 payments. Making accelerated payments, if we can keep it up, it will pay off at the end of 2028. 21 years early. Feels pretty damn good, right? And well, that's exactly what you should be doing. Let's pretend that the person didn't stupidly take out a 30-year mortgage. Let's pretend that after finding out about Dave Ramsey and his advice, let's assume that they already own the house when they came into it, and it's not, and they just, it turns out that it's not, it doesn't make them house poor. It doesn't sound like it does anyway. And so you don't have to sell the house. Sometimes you do have to sell the house when you take on a 30-year mortgage and buy too much house, and then you want to try to start following the baby steps. Sometimes you do have to sell the house, but it doesn't sound like they do. And this whole the whole attitude, I don't like it, of the making accelerated payments. If we can keep it up, hey, got a great idea. Keep it up. Do it. Don't let anything happen that makes you not do that. Don't get an idea to buy a freaking RV or any other dumb purchase like that. Pay off your house. You can get that RV later or whatever it is. So you make that happen. I specifically did not say anything about the following: interest rate, our ages, about why this is the right choice for us in today. Oh, are you just commenters have gone on the attack about how terrible this decision and plan is? What is the plan? Oh, zero details about the why, and I'm not going to share them now either. Yeah, definitely after you get static in the comments is not the time to start trying to justify your, whatever you're doing here. So they just wanted to say they're halfway on the mortgage and they're going to get it paid in 9 years instead of 30. Right, shouldn't have got the 30-year mortgage anyway, but as long as you pay it off in 9 years, you're doing better than getting a 15-year mortgage. So you just pay it, in that case, you would pay it like it's a 15, and they're going to pay it off like it's a 9. So yeah, but that doesn't matter. The problem is you got too many people on the Dave Ramsey subreddit that don't follow their Dave Ramsey advice. They're financial bros, and they are going to be debt leveraging. They're going to keep the mortgage around forever, and they're going to invest that money instead. Is probably their problem with doing that, with paying the house off early. It's, and previously they had even more a case when you had like 2.5%, 3% interest rates on mortgages, but now that they are up higher, it does make less sense. You probably still, if you invest the money, can make more money, but again, it's not, the Ramsey advice is not always and almost not never decided with the emphasis on what the calculator says. And for the financial bros, the calculator is king and it rules everything. And so, but that's not the Ramsey advice. So, okay, all right. I thought they had a question there. They were just sharing about their being halfway on the mortgage, and that's great. Shell's doing really well with her debt payoff right now. So good. Under 5 figures for my car, so that will be done within the next 3 or 4 months now with how I'm going. That's awesome, Shell. Also, 20% of my student loans came off in early December, so I'm very happy about that. So it's under 30K now. Great. Was that forgiven by the government? They're doing really well, even paying that off. Yeah, absolutely. I was assuming that they had a question on what they were gonna do. Like I thought they were gonna talk about something. Well, we also want to do this, stuff that's not as important as to paying off the mortgage instead, and it didn't go to that way. So that was my mistake. All right, great, fabulous that the government did that. I'm not for, government giving out loans to people. I'm not for that at all. But, if you have a loan with them and they decide to give you money off or try to do forgiveness or something like that, and that happens for you, great. And that's not just Shell, it's anybody, like people in the United States as well. It's good to see they're updating on it, so they'll be in baby step 4. Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 sounds like. Maybe not 5. Didn't say anything about kids. Right, so just 17K left to pay off. Awesome. You're making it happen, Joe. Government helped a little bit, but you're the one making it happen. A Ramsey S approach to phone buying. These switch places sometimes. I did already read this, and this was basically, I don't know what the guy's other tips are. I'm not gonna click on it to read it, but the first thing that he has on here I read yesterday, and that is correct. The cheapest phone is the phone you already own. Keep it for as long as possible. Absolutely. You do not need a new model just because the new model comes out. That goes with vehicles as well. Does your student loans die with you in America? They do not. We do not have that like they do. I don't know if they do it there either. Is it the same way in Australia, mate? As it is the bloody UK, that you pay for 30 years. Pay the minimum payment for 30 years, and then it is forgiven. I think that. Oh, for there it dies with you. Do the student loans die with you? Yeah, unless somebody else has co-signed for them. Any debt dies with you in the United States. The exception would be say your parents had student loans and they wanted to but they have a paid for house and they wanted to leave that to somebody, that the house would have to be sold to satisfy the student loans, or if they had enough money saved or whatever to pay off the student loans, that basically it has to come out of their estate. All of their holdings have to, what they own has to stand good for what you owe. So that would have to be settled before there could be any leaving the kids anything. So that would be that part. Yeah. So that would be, so yeah, it's no problem. It's not gonna affect your kids or your parents or anybody else. The only only problem would be is if you still own student loans and you want to leave them something of yours. Yeah. So that's, a lot of times, I mean, that's been a call several times to the Ramsey show where the parents owed money, but they wanted to leave the house to the kids. That means either the kids have to pay off whatever loan was there in order to get the house, or sorry, you don't get to get the house. It gets sold and the loan gets paid off, and then you would get whatever is left of the cash from the house. Yeah, let's see. I was going to taxes. Oh, depending on salary, but under the threshold, don't have to pay for them. All right. Did this on the quick look yesterday of upcoming questions. Dan Silver, failure of credit. This is a thing where I think his credit is pretty good, but nobody will loan money to him. Let's see. So bought a car around $80,000. Bank of America, Dave's favorite. Being sarcastic, Dave does not like Bank of America. That is the bank that came in, swooped in, and bought his local bank. His local bank had people there that knew him and knew that he would be good for the loans that he had taken out to do house flipping, is what he was doing at the time. But then Bank of America came in there and they said, oh, this 18-year-old kid has millions of dollars in loans. We don't like that, so we're going to have that money back in 30 days. And a lot of times you can't flip a house in 30 days. And so that's why he had to fight for, I think, almost 4 years to get out of bankruptcy. And he came really close, too. It was millions of dollars, and I think he took it down to something like $100,000, and they were going to start taking his possessions away. So that's when he filed bankruptcy. And that's why now he tells us about that story, so we don't have to do the same thing as well. So kind of good news, bad news for that. It didn't work out great for him at the time, but that situation turned him into the teacher and financial peace minister, as it were, that we have today. Anyway, Bank of America had a promotional rate. Promotional rate, yeah. Okay, promotional rate doesn't mean you should be borrowing money. And of course, you don't ever borrow money for cars, so that's going to be a no, even though it's a promotional rate. Anyway, 4.49% offered, so decided to not pay fully in cash. What an idiot. Paid $40,000 down. Credit was perfect, 850 out of 850. What happened? Only debt, 20% left on the mortgage debt. Income steady, long established, rejected, LOL. Reason giving, insufficient down payment on collateral. I don't know what that means. Bank of America actually will not lend money to anyone. Interesting. Perfect 850. Okay, perfect 850. So I'm guessing the equity built up in the house, is it? Is the would be the collateral in this case? I suppose. Putting $40,000 down, so only would order. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't if he had $40,000 equity in the house. But maybe originally he didn't put down enough. I have no idea what the collateral would be in this case. I'm assuming it would be the equity in the house. So, but guess what? You have the money. You have $80,000. You want to buy an $80,000 car. You don't need an $80,000 car, for one, and for two, use cash to pay for stuff you want to buy. Don't use debt to try to get ahead. That's so dumb. That is weird, dude. Yes, you're right, Shell. What is that? Then I said 87 Uber Lyft gig work. Spouse is opposed to the idea because for the just in case. What is it? My spouse and I both drive company vehicles, have a car we're currently making payments on to utilize when we go out and about. Okay. The vehicles also are safety net in the event either of us lose our job, right? Consider selling the car roughly selling the car rough 600 per month between payment and insurance. Oh, because you're making payments on it. Yeah, if you don't need one, sell it. And hey, got a great idea. Don't lose your jobs then. How about that? How about you keep your jobs at least until you can buy a new car? How about that? And then start doing dumb stuff at work to get fired for. But I understand sometimes you can't use it, but how about you sell the car, keep that money, and then keep adding to it so that you can buy another car should either you lose your job and then not have it. Or somehow maybe you can get by on one car. Let's see. No administration, 9920. 15-year mortgage or invest. If we were to switch to a 15-year mortgage, we won't be able to invest as much as we do now monthly. You should be doing 15%. If you can't invest 15% because your house payment would be too high, then that's too much house. So maybe you're not ready to buy a house, so you need to save more to put down on it. Does Dave recommend prioritizing the 15-year mortgage before investing 15% of your income? No. Guess what, though? Well, let me go ahead and read the rest. Let's see. Edit. So I already own my home. I'm in Canada A, where we have to renew every 5 years our mortgage, right? You can't lock in the interest rate, which is what Dave advises that you do here and not get variable. That way it can't go up on you. Sorry, I wasn't here. So should I be focusing on going for the 15-year or keep investing? You have to renew every 5 years. So how are you supposed to do that? You have to renew it every 5 years. So how can you do anything else except the 15-year? Now you would pay it off early still if you can. If you have enough leftover money, you would be putting extra to that, and you're on it baby steps 4, 5, and 6. So I don't understand what their question is, why they're asking about if we should do a 15-year mortgage when they can't do that. Unless there's a way you can do it, and you just previously did it with the way you have to do it. But I think you have to do that in Canada. You have to every mortgage has to be renewed. And so that way, if the interest is up, that benefits the bank. If the interest is down, I guess it benefits you. So I'm not really understanding what is going on here. Oh, Australia doesn't have the option. Oh, have to have the variable. Okay, interesting. All right, another reason to defect to America, Shell. We got a spot for you here. Flight wheel master, stay at home or move out of mom's. Only 10K debt left. How long would that take? 31 man. And we like to not be living with mommy once we're an adult. And that is, of course, what Mr. Ramsey is a fan of and highly recommends. But if you were there already, like, and you can knock this 10K out in what, 6 months? How long? Car's paid off. I really appreciated this opportunity to get along with my mom, pay some rent. Great. Take care of what I need to do. However, it affected my previous relationship. Now single. I'm sure it does. That's generally not a great thing. You know, we're let's be two, 30-ish-year-old adults dating, and oh, the man lives with his mom. Boop boop boo doo. So anyway, recently affecting mental health, pressure to get a private life for dating before I get too old, etc. All right. I found a great situation to rent while dumping the rest in student loans. Should I stick it out? I would, if you can do it, within a year, I would say, if you want to stay there, do it. If you think it's better for you, and that's part of the reason Mr. Ramsey would like you to have moved out and stayed out when you were 18 or done with college. You obviously don't need to move out and get your own house or apartment, and then also be staying away from there at college, that kind of thing, if you're doing that. But yeah, I would say, double down and work extra, etc. Get rid of it as soon as you can, and save enough to move to get your own apartment. So, or again, it's fine if you are so worried about it. You're talking about affecting your mental health, pressure to get a private life for dating. Hey, you know what? You might not meet anybody decent anytime soon. You never know when that's going to happen. You never know when that's going to happen. So I wouldn't freak out. And granted, this person is 31 and so is thinking about 31 stuff, and I'm 57 and thinking about him being when I was 31. And at any time you think that, especially younger kids, like all of the dumb crap that happened in high school, none of it matters. Zero of it matters when you get older. So it doesn't matter if you were bullied or picked on. I mean, that's going to cause some maybe scars, but as far as that doesn't need to affect your future. So, and if you weren't doing much dating when you were in high school, that doesn't mean you have to do that afterwards. So, that's locked in that certain amount of time. And so I understand, but and there was a time I thought 31 would be, oh, well, that's it. That's the end of my life. It's not. You got many more years to go. So, and you know what would be really attractive to me in somebody I was dating? If they had their personal life together, if they were living on their own, and also if they had no debt. That's what would really get my notice. So again, if you aren't like comfortable there anymore because of it, or if it's too in your head that you're living at home with mommy, reprioritize, move out, and then get back on the debt. If you want to stay there and knock it out, fine with that too, since you're already there. That's what we can always say. What the Ramsey advice would be, as in you should have not done that, like the person should not have taken out the 30-year mortgage, but that's where they are now. And they are doing the right thing by paying off even faster than 15 months, but you would be paying it off like it's a 15 and paying it off even earlier than that, if possible. So the same type of thing applies. Not investing on step 2. That's right. Doing it correctly. I'm starting to learn what investing is, and it's interesting so far. Yeah, that's one of the, what is it called? Putting a good face on it. The fact that you can't invest now, you have plenty of time to learn everything about it. So by the time you can be investing, then you'll know everything about it. So yeah, always look at the bright side. Square Shock 9206. If you're totally debt free, what has been the best benefit to you? It's peace, financial peace, for sure. Let's read it. I'm now totally debt free. My car payments done next month. Great. Mortgage paid off in January. Great. Student loans and credit cards paid off December 2024. I'm totally debt free. Excellent. Here are my top 10 benefits I've experienced this year after becoming debt free. Okay, let's look at this. It's so great when it's success stories and it's not people doing dumb stuff. And being on the Dave Ramsey subreddit, but not doing Dave Ramsey things, which is ridiculous to me. I don't know why. Let's see what they are. They are total mental peace, knowing you owe no one any monthly debt payment obligation. Sure. Checking account no longer gets overdrawn. Paying for big ticket items like mortgage, student loans, credit cards, and car payments. Yeah, well, even you gotta watch that. Even if that should not. That's what the budget is for, to keep that from happening. You do not do that, and that's why if it's not in the budget, but you want something one day, you do not get it. You stick to the budget so you don't get these overdrawn things. I used to work at a bank, constantly got calls from people wondering what the deal was, and one guy wanted to get a $1 candy bar, and he overdrew to get the candy bar, so that candy bar cost him $36 because it's a $35 overdraft fee. Now the overdraft protection, see, this is a lot of people don't understand about this. I was almost going to call them dumb, but maybe they just don't know because they didn't read before they signed the terms and conditions at the bank. Overdraft protection means that you're protected in that the payment still will go to the person you're sending it to. That doesn't mean you don't get overdraft fees. So, but you got to step in and stick to the budget to make sure that that doesn't happen. That's part of the paying attention to your finances. And yeah, a lot of people just don't pay attention, and this stuff happens. And this is like a every month thing, and that ends up that can easily be thousands of dollars a year. Cost of living significantly lower. It costs very little to survive when you have zero debt. That's true. It costs less. You have a lot more cash available to pay for leisure and emergencies. It feels great. Per day becomes meaningless because you no longer live paycheck to paycheck. Absolutely. Interest rate changes don't bother you because you don't need to borrow any money. Correct. Your credit score becomes pointless, particularly that after paying off all your debts, your credit score drops instead of increase. They really want you to go back into debt. Absolutely they do. Not gonna do it. You pay for vacations before your trip. When you return, you have no debt payments. You have more funds available to invest, thus your portfolio grows faster than ever. Correct. You realize that even if you were offered a 0% interest mortgage, you'd say thanks, but no bank, thanks. Because investing your monthly mortgage payments is far superior to holding on to a low interest mortgage and sending payments to the bank for 30 years. All of that is correct. But again, I would say just overall, and the financial piece, that covers all that. Every single thing he listed provides financial peace. It adds up to equal financial peace. And so you're just not worried about it anymore. Every time, like some years, people at work talking about, oh, I owe this, and I owe this, and I owe this. And, I always say, thank goodness I do not. Thank goodness I was smart enough to finally wise up and get rid of the debt. Let's see. It's mainly just about what apps to use, etc. that I'm confused with, but overall it's pretty good. Alrighty, no problem. You can just email me if you have any specific questions about anything about investing that you don't understand. Let's see. What should you think about before choosing a consumer proposal over bankruptcy? I don't know that we can do that in the United States. I came across this after explains Yeah, I don't know we can do. I know that's the form of bankruptcy they have in Canada. It's always about Canada, has to do it differently. But I had never heard of that before somebody from Canada talked about it. So I don't even know if we have that option here, but I'm assuming it is the consumer saying, well, I can pay this if it gets rid of, I mean, basically it's like settling the debt, maybe for less or within a certain time. That's the consumer proposing a deal with the lender. So, but I don't know that we have that in the United States. I guess I could Google it, couldn't I? Let's see. Does the U.S. have consumer proposals? Hopefully. P-R-O-P. Propose. Hopefully it's close enough. It'll figure it out. Yeah, it figured it out for me. Thank you. How close did I get? Not very. No, the U.S. does not have the exact equivalent of Canada's formal consumer proposal with specific legal process administered by licensed insolvency trustees for settling debt. Instead, the U.S. uses federal bankruptcy chapters like Chapter 13, right, and also Chapter 7. While the U.S. has various debt relief options, don't do any of those. Relieve your debt by paying it off. Formal consumer proposal, distinctly Canadian legal mechanism. Okay. So that's what I thought. So yeah, we cannot do that here. So they may have bankruptcy there as well, but you could do the consumer proposal, and maybe consumer proposal is less damaging to your credit. I don't know. But again, once you get to this point, how about we not worry about credit score and borrowing money ever again? Although I do think they what's that called? Manual underwriting for buying a house, I think, is far less common in Canada. How do I aggressively pay down a $44,000 car note? The fast answer, as always, is you do not spend that money on anything else. Let's see if there's any fun extra things in here about that. Make about $50K a year. Took delivery of a 2025 Nissan Murano SL at the beginning of last month. Also taking advantage of the rebates that were in place. Dumb. Do not buy anything because of the rebate. Do not take out a loan just because there's a rebate. Right now the loan is 75 months, dude, and over 6-year car loan. 7.41% annual percentage rate, $740 a month, and you only make $50,000 a year. Dumb ass crap. So yes, you should sell the car, actually, is what you should do, and buy a beater instead if you have other debt. If you don't have other debt, then maybe you keep it and pay it off if you really like the car. But that's an expensive way to drive from point A to point B. Let's see. All right, still looks good there. Just checking to make sure I didn't knock my webcam out of, so it wasn't in frame anymore. Where were we? MSRP, 48K. Since I foresee myself being the only owner of this car, I'm hoping to get the car paid off in half or close to that lifespan of the loan. What's the alternative? What are you really? So in your mind, you see a situation where you wouldn't get it paid off during that time and you get another longer loan stretching it out even more. That is ridiculous. Pay it off if you're going to keep it. I'm looking for some feedback from others how to approach this. You go back in time and don't do that at all. Including the concept of the concept I have to attack the debt. The concept is throwing 1K into the car, not 1K extra over the minimum payment, but 1K instead of 740. No, you put anything extra. Okay, no other debts than other the car, nor you don't carry credit cards. Why did you go into debt for this then? That was dumb as crap. So yeah, you don't put an amount. I'm gonna send this much. I'm gonna send only $1,000. You send whatever extra above minimal living expenses every month. You cut that budget to the bone, and you send that money off. And I got a great idea. Pay it off in 2 years or less. That kind of thing. That's what you should be setting a number at, not an even $1,000. Bonds, that's going to be a no from Mr. Ramsey, and of course myself as well. Concentrate, okay. 523, that's because they don't make as much money as the market does. I am 59 years old and have about $3 million in a boggle-headed portfolio with 20% in bond and BND and BNDX. I guess those are in mutual funds, I guess, that have bonds in them. I know Dave Ramsey's against bonds. Yes, he is. And I think he may be right. No, he's definitely right. Get those out of there. Don't sell those and buy something else. If you have a portfolio, how about, I got a great idea. Sell those, right? And buy the investments that you have that are making way more money than those. How about that? Easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And even if you are not 59 and a half, where you could take that out, you can still sell something within the account. You can always sell something and not take that cash out of the account, and then there's no tax event. The only time there's a tax event if you actually take money out of your, for example, Roth IRA or Roth or any 401k. Let's see, Ramsey giveaway. Has anyone ever won anything? Yes, they have, just not you. Or people that, other people that think it's not fake or anything like that, but they don't, you think okay, so a big fan of the Ramsey plan, so, but just curious if they actually give away that money. What are they going to do with it? Okay, and if you think that if you don't trust Dave Ramsey enough to believe that he's giving money away that they say they're going to give away, and you don't believe that, but you're a big fan of the plan, you could still just do the advice anyway, but I don't know. I would not be very trusting of the advice if you thought that he didn't give that money away. That's so dumb that you would do that. He wouldn't I don't think he wouldn't do that. I trust him. So if you don't trust him, that's on you, man. If you don't trust it, why would you be in the subreddit? I mean, it doesn't even do any good to complain on the subreddit, because you're not going to change anything. Long jumping news, 7880, baby step 7 a day, excellent. Went to the bank to wire the final payment. Praise to the Lord, and thank you to Dave for the change in our lives. Well, yeah, he had the idea. He told you a way to get it done, but you're the one that had to get it done, so good job for you. I mean, certainly thankful to Dave for saying do this stuff and you'll be successful. And but you're the one that has to do it. And most people won't do it. You did it. I did it. A bunch of people have done it. And so that's awesome. But the person that actually does it is the one most responsible for it. He just happened to be the one that gave you the idea to do that, or explained how to do it. What would Dave do? Flair on this, paying the IRS. And what would Dave do? Dave's advice is to put the IRS first, ahead of anything else, as far as debts. HSA from both spouses. You would have to have their own. Yeah, you have to have two different. Each spouse has to have their own health insurance plan. So you can't open up two HSA health savings accounts um, for each spouse if both the spouses are on one health plan from one of the spouse's company. So you would have to each would have to have a separate one, and you could each open a separate HSA. Individual fact 3075 high income and cash but limited time left with current job. What would you do? Did I read this one already? No, I don't think we didn't. We didn't dive in. Let's go ahead and open it up. It looks like there's more to it and way too much explanation. Let's skim through, shall we? Bit of a unique situation here. Everybody has their own special little situations that they love to talk about and be obsessed with. When it really only comes down to the money is all you need to know about. The numbers involved, that's really all you need to know about. Which is different than the Ramsey advice, which is not just limited to the calculator. In answering questions like this about what should you do, as far as do this or this, sometimes that does come down to the money. But anyway, met someone that became one of my best friends. His father was blue collar worker. Okay, come on. There it is. Everything had to be very transparent since during the transformation project. What are we doing? His father eventually retired from business, converting to employee owned. Okay. Oh, working for the person's father. Okay. 30 base. All right. I just want to see the cut and dried situation, and it might be a thing that you can just answer without any details whatsoever. Of course, on a phone call, you do want some details, but even this is too much for even a phone call to Ramsey Solutions, if you ask my opinion. So see, I'm not seeing even a hint as to the questions. I don't see myself ever fully retiring. I would be bored. I love working. I mean, if this is gonna be, let's see, in this gravy train for me. So my thought process: eliminate the mortgage debt entirely while still putting 100 to 150K into my brokerage. No, not while doing that. You do not do that. You still pay off the mortgage. Whatever little situation you have in your life, that does not change the baby steps. You change your life situation to fit the baby steps. So you do not invest. See, again, this is why people are so dumb. It's a very easy plan. You do not invest extra money other than the 15% until your house is paid off. The time when you would be investing more than the 15% into retirement would be only in step 7. And hey, look at that. That only happens after the house is paid off early. So you're doing it wrong. You're thinking about it wrong. Your little situation doesn't matter. You do not do that if you are following the Ramsey advice. Rez Gunnar. Bonus money allocation. Okay, any money that comes in from anywhere at any time gets put towards whatever baby step you're on. And that is very easy as well. So we don't need to know the little details, but let's read some anyway. Hey y'all, I'm a loose Dave Ramsey follower, as you'll see below. Well then, why ask? Why not do whatever? You're loose, so you're making up your own rules. So why can't you make up your own rules about this? This is illogical. You're not being consistent here. Anyway, want to be intentional though? Well, then follow be a tight Dave Ramsey follower then. As I've earned a 100K bonus that I'll receive in December. Oh yeah, that's right. This was a month ago. All these, that's why I have so many questions left on here. Normally I'm pretty up to date with them, but that's what happens when you take time off. But I can also do longer shows now if I want to. So win-win. Always look at the bright side. I want some opinions on allocating the money. Debt as follows. It would be all go to the lowest debt, 100K. Hopefully pay off them all. Let's see, the vehicle 23 and the credit cards 24K. Pay those both off. And guess what? Don't borrow another cent ever again. Don't use a credit card ever again. The house, you would put the rest that was left over to the house. Sure. Yep. Unless you, or the full emergency fund rather, if you don't have that yet. I know I should have knocked out the credit card debt by now. Yeah, you should have, but you're dumb. Obviously, because you're a loose follower. I mean, why half-ass anything? Why do it? I feel like, for me, it's an easy answer. You're right, because you're not stupid. You're just dumb. But I need some other opinion. Should I put my 15% in my 401k until no. Okay, so here's what happens. Debt happens first. That's step 2. Okay, so that would be non-mortgage debt. So the house is out of the equation for the moment. There's 23 and 24K in vehicles and credit cards. That gets paid out of that 100,000. And then the rest goes to full emergency fund if you don't have that left over, or if you don't have that done yet. And then the investing thing is not with a lump sum. You put 15% of it. That is out of your paycheck, so you would not do that either. So I mean, I guess you could. But the idea is that only comes out of your income every paycheck. And you could make incredible headway on the house by dropping the rest of that money on there. So it would seem like 50, and half of it, 50% would go to the vehicles and credit card, paying them off and never ever borrowing money or using credit card again. And then another 50,000 could go to the house. Unless you wanted to, if you have kids, if you want to start on step 5 as well. But basically at that point, you'd be on step 4, 5, and 6 if you had any left after you filled the full emergency fund. But since you're loose, maybe you have a full emergency fund already. So it all depends on what you have done incorrect, and now you fix it and do it all in order. So yeah, it is an easy answer. Let's see. Into my emergency fund, that would put me into baby step 3 and building my emergency fund. Right. And so you finish the emergency fund, and then if you still have money left over and want to put extra into retirement, I mean, I guess that would be all right. But again, the idea is that it comes out of your paycheck. And also, having a paid-for house will help you just as much in retirement as your retirement account. Lifestyle upgrade urge. Don't do it. The part about being an adult is you do not have to satisfy urges. You can tell yourself, no, Scotty, don't. I've done good. There you have it. Good is what Superman does. He does good. What you meant to say is you've done well. How about we learn English, everybody? Let's do that. Let's do that. It's the English language. It's your mother tongue in most of these cases. Learn it, know it, live it. Paid off my 2017 Honda CR-V and paid off approximately $20,000 of student loans. I currently do not have any debt. That's not what we say. We say I'm done with debt. That means you don't have any, and you're not going to take any more out unless it's for a house that you live in. Never paid a single dollar credit card interest. Yeah, so that sounds like you're using credit cards and you can always get in trouble with them. So the advice is to not use them for the little, is debt leverage regardless, but for the little perks, cash back, whatever. points, whatever, doesn't matter. I have a $44,000 fund that is going to be used to purchase my first property in the near future. No, it's not. You're not going to buy a property for 44K unless it's a lot. I guess once I get settled with my career transition, I'm going to graduate from nursing school in about 2 weeks. Been working full time and cash flowing my degree. Yes, it's possible. If you're great, high enough income and go to community college, fabulous. That part is good. Yearly income jumps significantly to 78 to 130K and more as I climb. You see, people always do this though. People always do this, especially people that are going to see a significant bump in pay. They always do this. They try to start spending the money long before they get to that point. Anyway, climb up through the nursing position. Overall, I'm a simple 31-year-old guy. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you should not upgrade your lifestyle. Don't do that. Do you want to upgrade your lifestyle or do you want to save more to buy a house? Hopefully that's what he's talking about, instead of getting a lot and trying to get into real estate before he even owns a house himself. So, yeah, I would save more money so you could buy a house sooner than to upgrade lifestyle. But that's up to you. Good luck. Live concentrate. Emergency fund amount. Should emergency fund amount be calculated to include all spending needed to maintain current lifestyle? No, it's a bare bones. Emergency fund is for bare bones because guess what? You're not doing lifestyling in an emergency time period. You also do not invest during an emergency time period, so you don't include that money. So it's just things 100% necessary to live. It is what goes into that monthly spending amount times the number of whatever months you want to do, 3 to 6 months of expenses. And that's only 100% necessary expenses. It would include the mortgage or apartment rent, if you're still paying that. It would include that because shelter is one of the things that you do need even during emergency. But the extras, no. In retirement, no. You can start that back when the emergency's done, after you have filled the emergency fund again. I'm not clicking on that. Whatever I find funny. Sarah here now does it wrong, does not follow the advice. So I don't know what's up with that, but posts here quite often. But anyway, last one we read on her. I mean, sometimes she does good things, but last one we read on her, she was, you doing it wrong. Baby step 3, officially over. Submitted a transfer from my checking account to my high yield savings account that will put me slightly over the 3-month emergency fund. Excellent. I completed baby step 2 on the 7th of March. Now it's only over unless you want a 4-month or 5-month or a 6-month emergency fund. That would be the time. And if you are going to buy a house, I do suggest getting the 6-month before you even save 1 penny towards the down payment. Because by taking on the house ownership, you are opening yourself up to a lot more stuff breaking down that you will have to fix, not your landlord. Because you won't have a landlord. You're the landlord. However, that does not matter. It slowed us down. They had the issue. ACL surgeries. Okay, I've not even looked at the next baby steps yet in detail. That is fabulous. Most people overthink it. And instead of doing more to, look to where they're at, like Luke Skywalker, Yoda said Luke Skywalker had a problem with that on Tatooine, always staring into those 2 suns, and looking to the horizon, looking to, whatever he wanted to be doing instead of concentrating on where he was. And so that's great. That's that seems like that would make it faster to do that, because you're doing whatever, you're expending any thinking energy, or any energy, physical energy, otherwise working more maybe to get the step done that you are working on right now. But now a lot of people are being like step one and they're trying to plan out their entire life, and you have no clue what things are going to cost. You have no clue how much money you're going to be make even in 5 years, much less 30. So some people go crazy with the overthinking on that, and that's fine to do. It's important to plan, but you also have to limit it and concentrate on what you're doing now. Too pale to function. All right. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Refinance. Has anyone refinanced their home mortgage while following step 6? Okay, so refinancing, see, that's a tricky thing because, and the reason you wouldn't do that is because, guess what? Refinancing isn't free. Sorry about Crinkly Water Bottle, and they are, of course, our sponsor, Crinkly Water Bottle. And of course, I have, what is it? Big K soda, zero sugar. That's the Kroger brand, which is a lot cheaper. And matter of fact, it's 25 more cents off this week through Tuesday night at the Kroger, and that is $1. And I'm not paying for the Coke brand. I have bought many Cokes in my life. Eventually figured out that, hey, this, at the beginning it tasted almost as good. Now it tastes better. When I taste regular Diet Coke, Coke brand diet, or zero sugar, Coke brand, but I taste that now, it's like, oh, this is not as good as the Big K. So, it could be some psyching myself out with that and making myself believe it, but I don't think so. I can admit it and still buy this instead of the Coke products, but yeah, why pay twice as much for the same amount of beverage when you're still getting the same amount of caffeine, you're still getting the same great taste and the carbonation. Refinance. Oh, where were we? Yeah, the refinance. I'm concerned a credit history lookup would show my wife and I to have no debt and are aggressively paying off. Have you been treated differently because you're obviously paying off debt? Yeah, and that would be another reason to leave the banks out of it, because then you're not bothered with them looking at your credit score. Just pay it off instead of trying to refinance. But sometimes a refinance does make sense. Sometimes you can refinance like to a lower interest rate. Like if you bought at the height, I think is it down 1% or 2 yet? Because it would have to be like for 1%, you probably aren't going to save any money, and you should have the house paid off in a short amount of time, which would be before you would get the break-even point, because you do have a refinancing fee. That would be the same like closing costs. It's still a closing cost, but they more call it a fee, I think, when you do a refinance instead of closing costs. I think they do. So yeah, you shouldn't even do that if it's going to be longer than, like, say, a year. If it's going to take longer than a year for you to refinance, you probably or to get the break-even point where you will save enough in interest so that it will equal the amount. That's what I'm saying. And then everything past that is where you start, getting plus money. But until then, you're losing money by refinancing. Especially that not necessarily a big expense at the beginning. That is the best way to do it, though, because that way then you're not also adding that to the refinance. That's basically like a cash out loan you're doing. You're refinancing the amount you're financing the amount left on the mortgage plus what they're charging you to refinance, and they just add that to the loan, and then you're paying that off as well, and interest on that every single month. Isn't that great? Yeah, I was being sarcastic. Don't do that. Hillbilly lawyer. All right. Well, maybe that's supposed to be hillbilly. It's bi. Somebody's dumb, or I don't know. They might have a reason for doing that on purpose. Business slash personal, baby by steps. You mean baby steps? 52 years old, getting up there. 250K annual income, self-employed. So we sometimes make more. Okay. Debt profile, 330K at 4% house. Okay. 70 in equity, 85 at 5.25. Rentals, that would be a no. You do not do a loan on rentals. That's a no, 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 no. So you would sell that. Sorry. Office building. Oh, so you got an office building as well. You don't rent the office building either. Anything that's business, you do not get a mortgage on, so you're doing it wrong. All of this is wrong. So if you just look at the baby steps and you think, oh, well, I can finance all the freaking rental properties and office buildings that I want to. That's a no, you cannot. That is not the Ramsey advice. Rentals were converted to land contracts when my wife got cancer in 2021. Yikes. All right. Way to throw that in there. I didn't feel like at the time to service the rentals and take care of things at home. Okay, local lender agreed to let me do it under circumstances. Okay, great. Doing great now. And fortunately, your local lender, I guess, stayed in power there, because it's possible that, some other, that local lender wouldn't be working there anymore and somebody else would, and they'd be saying, sorry, you can't do this anymore. Anyway, so glad she's doing great now. Dave may tell me to simply sell the rentals now. Yes, but I can't because they're already technically sold. What the heck are you talking about? I understand that I could sell the debt slash contract to one of the companies who pay pennies on the dollar, but I don't want to do that. You can still sell it. There's a way you can still sell it. Who are you trying to sell it to? If you convert it to a land contract, that doesn't mean anybody else is involved. Land contracts bring in does that mean with the tenants, the rentals? So with the tenants, now you're the land contract holder. I mean, they have the land contract with you like that, and they're paying for the land contract instead of rent, that kind of thing. Is that what that means? Yeah, I don't even know about this, so I couldn't really talk on that part. But nothing that involves borrowing money happens in business if you're following the Ramsey advice. And you're very dumb if you think that that is okay, per the Ramsey advice. Anyway, bought the office. Business stars. Scared to borrow $600K at almost 50 years old, but the cost of renting or relocating were worse than borrowing. Okay, so you're justifying it, but that you shouldn't be doing that anyway. You're on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. You do not borrow. You do not finance anything to do with business ever. You're so dumb. How did you not realize that Mr. Ramsey does not condone that? We have 6-month bill, high yield savings account emergency fund, 60K, as I would stop paying extra in an emergency. When I borrowed to buy the office, my total debt exceeded $1 million, and I've been attacking debt with okay, great, intensity, all right. Frankly, getting burned out and starting to lose focus. Well then, see, you're dumb. You're dumb for doing all this stuff and putting yourself into this situation. So how you get out of it is however you got to get out of it. I mean, if you hold the So, like, if you hold the loan with your tenants, if that's what the case is, you can certainly sell your stake in that to somebody else, and then they will have to deal with the tenants. You can certainly do that. I think, unless there's something I don't know of that locks you into keeping them 100%, not just locks you into it because you think you'll lose money if you don't stay locked into it. That doesn't matter. What you think doesn't matter. Let me get it out. If the office and rentals are considered non-home mortgage debt, then am I still in baby step 2? Yes, you are, you dumbass. And I should use 59K of the emergency fund to attack the rentals, small as debt. Yeah. Losing the emergency fund scares the hell out of me. Self-employed. What baby step am I in? What would you do? You sell all of your freaking real estate. You do not have an office building. Relocate to a much cheaper office building, or do it out of your house then, if it's just these rentals. What else are you doing that you need an entire office building for? So I didn't see anything. I mean, granted, I skimmed it, but I didn't see anything that said what else he does for the business. So you don't need an office building to make what did you have, a three rentals thing look good? You don't need an office building to run 3 rentals. So unless there's a lot more going on there, you don't even need an office building, but you would be renting it yourself if you need one. No debt on business stuff. Why did you do that? Maybe he did that before he found Dave Ramsey, and he does know that now, but he's not seeming like he wants to get out of it. It sounds like he still wants to keep doing debt and doing debt and doing debt. And if you do that, that's going to be a no. So there's no business baby steps. I mean, other than the first business step would be no loans. Retained earnings in a business is their emergency fund, is a business emergency fund. Yes, you would have that, but there are no business baby steps. So that's exactly why you don't get to take out a mortgage for your office or for rentals. You do not get to do that. No business borrowing ever. And so your little situation does not change that advice, sir. Sorry. To commercials, I'm on 1. Budgeting advice, I'm 22. I'm on baby step 4. And I'm also saving for my first home. Trying to get the hang of zero-based budgeting, and this is how we do it. I've been setting things up. 1, I start with my income. Okay, that's a good place to start, I guess. Then I cover the 4 walls first. Right, great. Groceries, housing costs, fuel, transport, and healthcare. Okay. Next, I put 15% of my gross income into investing. Okay. When I eventually get a mortgage, this is also where I decide how much extra to pay on it. Yeah, after you do your budget, I mean, that's how you do your budget. After that, I put money into sinking funds for our future stuff, car insurance, road tax, car repairs, gifts, a future phone. Mine should okay, see, that's too much. That's too much. All of that stuff, too much. That what you're doing is creating a general slush fund, and that can cause you to think you have more money to spend on things than you actually do. So, see, and some of this stuff is necessary, some is not. Let's see, ready for future stuff. Car insurance, sure, necessary, but that should be in your budget for that month, or you can pay for it 6 months in advance, and you can save, $15 or something like that. Why not paying it in advance? A road tax, okay. Car repairs, gifts, no, we don't do that. We don't have a slush fund that you also take gift money off of, because sometimes you might be in a position where you can't buy a gift for somebody, and that's fine. A future phone, mine should last about 4 more years. You shouldn't have to save up for a phone that long. You should be able to put a phone into 1 month's budget. at one time. So like the month before, you put it in the month before budget, and then you have time for it. You pay cash for it. If you cannot afford cash, then guess for a $1,000 iPhone, then guess what? You don't get a $1,000 iPhone. You get a I think I paid 150 for this. I got it in 2023 and it's a 2022 model. Moto Android. Yes, it's not an iPhone. It also didn't cost $1,000. It cost, again, like I said, about 150 or so. And hey, guess what? Cheaper. Accesses the same internet the iPhone does. What can't that do that an iPhone can do? In some way. Granted, it's not going to have the same exact things on it, but regardless, if you like iPhones better, great. Get an older one. Get a new older one and pay cash for it. Where were we? Around holidays, whatever's left is my fun money. And I don't okay, so there's more to this, but I'm not going to read it. I think you're doing this wrong. You do start with your income, and then you take out the necessary expenses. So that part is right. But then, let's see. Next to 15% of gross. So doesn't say they have any debts though. So I'm assuming that also hopefully does not include phone financing, because that is a debt. That is a baby step 2 debt. So if you're on baby step 2, you would be doing that and not investing. So, but if you're on 4, 5, and 6, this is, I guess, fine. Where was my problem for that? You would pay the mortgage. That would be part of your 4 walls, and then the extra, that would be decided at the end. So I would, maybe think about slightly changing these around a little bit. But the sinking funds, be more intentional with your sinking fundage and not have it, for anything that I might need money for, like, and list 7 things like he did. So, and you're talking about if you need one in 4 years, again, like I said, that should be, think about it in 3 years from now then. And save for a year for it. And don't start saving now for it. See, that it makes it messy like that and allows you to think you have money to buy everything because you have this huge catch-all sinking fund. Sinking fund, it should be for a specific thing and one specific thing only. Now, it can be in the same account, like maybe a high-yield savings account. But you get one where, like Ally, my pal Sid loves her Ally high yield savings account, where they allow you to create buckets in there. So you do have individual names for things that are in there, and you need to stick to those. You do not take it out of the wrong budget. Like, for example, you don't take money out of the car insurance to buy a gift and say, I'll put that back in there next month. You don't do that dumb crap like that. That's how you get in trouble. Well, now I'm curious just to see what else it was going to be for the rest of it. Okay. Whatever left my fun money, I don't break it down in categories like eating out or clothing. I just keep it loose. That's fine, as long as you know it's fun money and you know when the fun money's over. The part I'm unsure about is whether I should be doing sinking fund for things like a new phone. No, not this far in advance. You shouldn't. No, you don't do that. You don't do that while you still have the house to pay off. But I mean, you don't even have that now. So you should be saving a down payment, I would think. I mean, and if you're nowhere near selling, this is what I'm talking about, the overthinking. If you're nowhere near the situation where you would be saving a down payment, which, I mean, you can do that at the same time as investing. But you thinking about how much extra you can pay on the house at this point when you don't even have one, that's too much. That's overthinking it. And how about we how about we focus on this year first? Just pretend it's only this year, not things that are going to be due next year. If there's something that you need to save up for in advance for next year, wait. If it's going to be something due January 1st, maybe revisit it in July or something like that. Give yourself as much time as you need. If it's a very expensive thing that, like, $1,000 on something, like if at tax time you're gonna owe, for whatever reason you're gonna owe extra money, then yeah, you want to make sure you have enough time. But you also don't want to be saving again for a purchase 4 or 5 years from now when you could be just putting that money towards paying the house off. And maybe the house will be paid off by the time you owe that kind of stuff. Maybe you won't be paid off in 5 years. Maybe you won't even have a house in 5 years. That's why this thinking like this is bothering me. Because you're trying to go too far in time. How about we save the down payment first? The down payment should be part of this. So that's what I'd be asking this person. What about the down payment? Let's start there with planning out how to do the down payment and putting that in the budgeting. Save for the down payment. Backdoor Roth. Anime Theo, frequent poster on here. Baby steps 4 through 6 flare. Does like to talk about his flare. 13 man single, no debt outside mortgage. Remaining $227K at 5.9% interest. Paying $600 extra in principal with hopes of paying my house off in the next 10 to 12 years. 30-year mortgage. Yeah, 3 years in the 30-year mortgage. You did it wrong. How can you be asking about a backdoor Roth when you have a 30-year mortgage? You're doing it wrong. Why does Dave not encourage backdoor if you haven't finished mortgage payment? Because you should be putting that money into mortgage payments instead. I know you have to pay the taxes when you convert, yep, including gains, but technically isn't the money, not the gains, already taken out if you had just done regular Roth anyways? The taxes, yeah, but what about it? Thus, if you put aside the money, you shouldn't really have an issue at tax season. DT, I don't know what DT means. A lot of overtime, and my side 1099 gig. I come very close to the, what is it? I can't remember what the M is, but it's adjusted gross income. Can't remember what the M stands for. And thus want to do backdoor regardless. No, it's not because you want to do it regardless. If you don't have to do it, you don't do it. And you put more money into the mortgage. And you should only be investing 15% of gross while paying off that mortgage. If you're investing any bit more in a retirement, or any investing, you don't do extra investing outside the 15 for retirement. That's the only investment you do. So beyond the 15, you prioritize paying off the mortgage. And you shouldn't have gotten a 30-year mortgage. And if you got a 30-year mortgage because you wanted to give yourself more leeway than if you had a 15, if you need to give yourself leeway, then guess what? You bought too much house. So no backdoor Roth, no buying too much house. And if you bought too much house, you need to pay this thing down like it's a 15 anyway, would be the Ramsey advice. So the Ramsey advice would have been not to get a 30. So I don't trust you as far as I could throw you, Anime Theo. And with my bad knee, I shouldn't try to throw anybody. That's reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Oh, the lady that was the actress that was in another John Hughes movie. Um, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles. She was the car rental lady. Anyway, she told the principal, because he said, I don't trust this Ferris Bueller as far as I can throw him. And she said, well, with your bad knee, Ed, you shouldn't throw anybody. Bureau Caterpillar Zero Out Thrift Savings Plan. What is Dave saying? Federal employee. If there's no penalty, that's going to be just like a retirement. If you can do that with no penalty, then yeah. And 500K, my thrift savings. Well, why would you want to do it though? I may make it to 30 years. We own one home outright, and our main home has 225K remaining on the subject. Okay, so you would not have one home and keep it and then get a mortgage on another. You're doing it wrong. So how you upgrade a house is you sell the current house and you put that down, and you get hopefully a lot less mortgage on that. Better yet, you use the equity in your current home and then you save up the difference in cash to pay for the better home. You don't get in a situation where you keep two houses. You're not a Rockefeller. So you don't need to have two houses. And so one home outright, and our main home, that's like the new one, has the mortgage, and so, but they kept the other one. Why'd you keep the other one? It'd be a rental or something dumb crap like that. That's a no, and a no. By 805, I will have a pension when I retire. I may zero out my TSP soon. Pay the 10% penalty. Yeah, the penalty means no. And pay the required taxes for the year. No, you got plenty of money apparently, so you quit putting money into different retirement accounts and pay down that mortgage. Sell the other house. Sell the other house. Sell the other house and put that money to the mortgage as well. Not having a 300 a month mortgage will bring me such peace and have the money to invest in it. No. You're thinking about it all wrong, and that's going to be a no. And if, who knows how much 30 comments here. Who knows? A lot of people say, yeah, you'll be fine doing that. Mr. Ramsey wants you to be more than fine, and so his advice is don't do dumb crap like that. If you're going to buy a second house, that's just like a toy. So you have to pay all cash for that. If you're going to just upgrade, then you sell the other house and use all that money towards the mortgage. And hey, guess what? When the mortgage is paid off, then you also have, where was it? Bring me such peace. That will bring you peace too. See, people try to twist it so that they could do their dumb stuff, and they think it's okay or want it to be okay per Ramsey, but it's not. So, good luck. Hot and thresh. Okay. Like hot and fresh, but it's hot and thresh. I got it. Paying down mortgage versus Roth IRA investing. You do both at the same time. Steps 4, 5, and 6 are done. All three of those at the same time. Those are the only ones that are done at the same time. Well, with the exception of step 4 and 3B. 3B, saving the down payment, and you can invest during that time if you want to the entire time, or you can stop investing for up to 2 years and put all that money into the down payment. But yeah, you should be only doing 15% and only 15% to pay down that mortgage. If it's a situation like where if you don't invest, you can pay it off in 2 years, something like that, then you can do that too. You can stop investing for 2 years, but you don't, you wouldn't take it out of a retirement account to pay off the house or pay down on it. 30 years old, just bought my first home. As I begin to make mortgage payments, I find myself grappling with the choice between maxing out my Roth IRA contributions. You don't, yeah, okay, so the max that the government allows is different than the Ramsey max. And I wonder if he states a maximum that you should be doing until you're on step 6, where you're paying early, where you're paying extra early. Or until your home is paid off, excuse me, as far as how much you should be investing. Oh, look, he does. It says 15%. You do not do 1 penny more than 15% of your gross income into retirement until your freaking house is paid off. What don't you understand about this? You do not do all of the baby steps at the same time. Matter of fact, there are brick walls, concrete walls in between. Steel walls, whatever you want to make the wall out of, between baby steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? You do those one at a time without even thinking about. So in step 1, step 2, and step 3, you're not investing. Brick wall right there. Brick wall between these two as well. You don't jump ahead on these. You do these steps one at a time. Now, steps 4, 5, and 6 happen all at the same time. But even before that, step 3B, save the down payment, which is not on here, but that's what it is, and investing can happen at the same time. But for up to 2 years, you cannot just hold off investing, and that allows you to save a larger down payment faster. Okay, so you only do 15%. People are nutty with their little want to do more investing crap instead of paying out down the mortgage. That's debt leverage. Mr. Ramsey, not only the debt, no debt guy, he's the no debt leverage guy. So you don't max out the Roth IRA contributions as far as what the government allows. You max it out at 15%. And if you're, if for example, Roth IRA is easy to hit because that's a low number. The more money you may hit the maximum on that. And so if you're not doing 15%, but you are maxing out your Roth IRA maximum, you're maxing it out for the year, then you need to invest additionally for the other percent to get you to 15%. So that all depends. And so that is what you do first. Okay, and then of course your mortgage payment would come out. Your regular mortgage payment would be included in your necessary expenses. So you would take that out, and then in your budget you should see your amount of your 15% of investing, whether it's just in the Roth IRA or Roth IRA and some other place as well, some other type of investment account, be it tax advantage or not a tax advantage. Sometimes you can't get tax advantage for all of it, depending on your income, etc., etc. Are making additional payments. So again, it's not, people like to paint themselves into corners. Paying additional to the mortgage doesn't mean an entire additional payment. So you don't have to make a whole additional payment every month. But you can put extra on it, and that will still help and get it paid off faster and have you paying less in interest. Debate over. Doesn't want to do Dave's advice regarding how to prioritize Roth IRA contributions and paying off my mortgage early. Yes, it says it right there. As I said, it says 15% of your household income. Now, so if you still have money left over, after you hit the Roth IRA max and you have not got to 15% yet, then you do something else as well. Even if it's in a non-tax advantage brokerage account, you put that extra percent somewhere so that you have 15% being invested every single month for the purpose of retirement. Now, if you invest the 15% and you do not max out the Roth IRA, that's too darn bad. Because that's somebody else's advice. That's some financial bro advice, or it's the dumb crap that you want to do, perhaps. But no, you stop at 15% and everything else gets put to also kid colleges in here. You do 4, 5, and 6 all at the same time. So if you don't have kids, you don't have to worry about it. Or if you choose not to help them for whatever reason, you want them to make their own way into the world, that happens as well. That's your choice as a parent. So, God be with you on that. Godspeed to you on that. You get to make the choice on that. So, but we'll pretend that this is not involved for financial bro here, which I think he is. But so you stop at 15 and everything else goes to the house. It doesn't have to be an additional entire payment. You are nutty painting yourself into that corner. And now he may know that, but he said, I can only go by what the words are here because I can't read his mind. I can only read the words here, which says additional payments. So it's additional money, but not necessarily an additional payment. So yeah, 15%, and then the rest goes on the house. No extra investing past 15%, and all of it is 100% for retirement, even if it is in a non-retirement account. Izzy Stellar, all right. I used to call my daughter Izzy. So she asked me to call her Bella. Her name is Isabella. That was a sad day. And yes, everybody thinks her mom named her after Bella from Twilight. And did not. Did not. I don't even think the books were written when she was born. I'm trying to remember if they were. The movies definitely weren't out until she was like 5 or 6 years old. Suggestions. We had a string of bad luck lately following a move. I'm really struggling with what to do. We moved because I got a promotion. Okay, everything went smoothly until the week after we moved. Normally, I can handle that and get us through it relatively unscathed. Problem is, the rent went up with our move. Right after that, I started, see, this is why you think about this stuff ahead of time, and you don't just move. When you get a promotion, you don't just say, oh, okay, we'll just move, and we'll not look at any of the economic ramifications. We won't look to see, oh, it's more rent, so can we afford that? You can definitely wait till after you move to look at that. No, you can't. That's dumb. Right after that, I started having health problems, which means multiple doctor's appointments to pay for, and then both of our cars, Chevy Cruze, Jeep Compass, started having mechanical issues totaling over $10,000. Both of them at the same time. Are you sure you don't have maybe a Stranger Things situation there, since both of the cars did it at the same time? Don't know. After a month of having to pay for lifts, that would be just plural. You don't put an apostrophe S for multiple. It's only a possible if it's something that belongs to Lyft. To take me anywhere. We were able to trade in the Cruze for my husband to get a vehicle. Yeah, see, and also you don't trade in stuff because the dealer's not going to give you fair value for it. So you did it wrong. What can we, like this is, this isn't nearly as bad as like some of the calls, but Dave gets the calls and they said, yeah, we did this and we did this and this little thing happened and this thing happened and I did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. And then eventually Dave says, what can I help you with today? What can I help you with right now? Let's see. No one wants to refinance it because it's not worth much, right? Even without knowing it's broken down. I don't want to continue paying 6 months. Tough crap. This is, again, this is why if you don't finance cars, if you buy them in cash, if they're beaters, yeah, they may break down more. But then you're not stuck with them in this situation. You already own it outright. So if you need to, you can just sell it for scrap and be done with it and just get another beater. And that's a very cheap car, so that doesn't cost as much. So 2 new payments for a car that may not even be fixable. Yeah, you don't do new financing on anything. You stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Voluntary repossession is the most expensive way to get out of the car, because they can charge you fees for everything. They can add on whatever they want to the amount that, because they can justify it. They could say, well, she, broke this clause and this clause and this clause. And so they can get that. They can charge you for towing. They can do, whatever. Neither option is ideal, right? Guess what? It wasn't ideal for you to finance those either. So this is why we don't do that. People that have not financed vehicles learn from this. And don't do that crap. Buy a car in cash. Even if it's a beater, you will be better off. Voluntary hits my credit hard. Yeah, we don't care. You're in no position to be worried about your dumbass credit score. People drive me out of my mind, man. This crap, man. I was told it was dropped 100 and 150 points. Yeah, it will. You don't care. Your credit already, you shouldn't be borrowing money anyway, so you don't need a credit score for anything. You do not need a credit score to rent a car, to get an apartment. You don't need it. You don't need it. That's a lie. When people tell you that, they are lying. I don't know what to do, and I'm really scared about what this means financially. It doesn't matter. The reason you need a credit score is so that you can easily borrow money. You do not need it to get a house. You can do manual underwriting. Let's see, it already reached out to the finance company. Again, finance, and they literally have no option. Okay, so if the finance company doesn't have a way to get you out of it and make more money out of you, you should be really scared. So you should be worried if you can't, by getting into more debt, they're not allowing you to get into more debt to fix the situation. You need to be scared and quit doing dumb crap. Quit interacting with debt. Quit financing things. You want to refinance and have no opportunity to help with monthly payments. No, what's going to help with monthly payments? Hey, you took out the payment and you needed to think about how am I going to pay for this? What happens if whatever happened there? I don't know what happened when they moved and whatever, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you shouldn't have moved. I don't know of any way to get out of it. I mean, you might have to just sell it for scrap and buy a beater, and you will owe it. If you can't make the payments, don't make the payments. I mean, if you go to a credit help place or a debt relief place or something like that. So what they're going to do is they're going to tell you, send us payments and we will take care of the payment for you, and we'll end up settling for less. They will, but they're going to keep all of your money at first. And so you can go into default on it without their help. All they're going to do is not pay it. They're going to keep your money that you send them and let it go into default, and then they will eventually contact them and settle for less. And they may tell you that they settled for higher than the amount that they actually did, and that means more profit for them and more that you still have to pay to settle the debt. Yeah, you're going to have to make the final payment to the debt, to the lender. So, but you can do that by yourself. You can not pay payments to lenders all by yourself. You can do that. You can go into default on loans without paying somebody thousands of dollars to help you do it. No, you can do it yourself. You just don't pay it. You just pay your 4 walls. You just, keep doing your rent, etc., food to live, and you don't pay that. And then that would be one way to get out of it. Of course, since it's finance, you can't even sell it for scrap because you don't have the title. So yeah, I don't know what you do on that. You just let it sit. They'll, I mean, they can. I mean, I guess they could repossess it if they wanted to. But you know, you can talk to them about it. If it comes to that, you might have to do that. But that is going to cost you the most as well. That is the most expensive way to get out of a car that you like a dead car, that kind of thing. That's the most expensive way to get, you know, for a finance car, for you to get out of it. So don't do that if at all possible, um, because it means I'll have to make two payments next month. Yeah, yeah. Again, this is why we don't finance. If you don't finance, you never run into this situation. Wouldn't that have been great? Granted, that means you don't have this dumbass car to begin with, but you have a cheap meter instead. And maybe you have to buy maybe you have to buy one of those a year. Who cares? Because you're not paying as much. Has been anyone in a similar situation done voluntary repossession or have any other ideas? No, I don't. You're gonna have to work more, spend less. You're not buying anything that's not 100% necessary to live. Time is it? I don't know. How long have we been going? Let's see if it tells me how long I've been streaming. Oh, we have dropped some frames. That's not fun. I'll have to look at that. I don't know. I guess we'll end it. Let's see what we're doing. Let's see what we'll be talking about on the next one. One snowball gone. Congratulations. I assume they mean the first debt on the snowball. For the Christians here, please share your perspective regarding tithing. Well, I'm going to tell you what Christians believe is tenth. It's a tenth. That's what tithe means. It's like the T-I in it. Tithing is a tenth of your salary goes to God. And basically that would be probably for most Christians, it would just be money in the oh, I can't remember what the name of the pan is at church. I can't remember the name of it. What is that called? Offering bucket. I can't remember, but you do the offering. But again, that, and as far as Christians believe, what some of them may have finesse ideas on it, but that comes off the top first. And now some people will say, oh, well, I do my four walls first and then the tithing. Okay, that's great, man. That's great. Knock yourself out. The idea is that Christians do that off the top before anybody else gets any money at all, including you or your landlord or anybody else. So, but that's the idea. That's what Christians believe in. What anybody else does, I don't care. You get to you get to make up your mind about that. So growing up with parent, what is it? Spouse does not attend church, and getting them on board with donating any funds to the church was difficult. Okay, so as far as that's concerned, I assume you want to stay married. So what you would do here is you would compromise with your spouse. The secret to staying married would be, of course, communicating, compromising, and if you can't do either of those, it's time for counseling. So you communicate. You don't keep it, you don't keep it all bottled up. You don't get, oh man, I wish she would tithe. I wish she would help me tithe, and all that. And without saying anything to her about it, you need to communicate about it. And then if you disagree on something, well, then you do a compromise. And so then the compromise maybe, I would think at worst, it would be that she's not doing anything and you're doing 100% of or you're doing, 10% of your gross income. or net income, whatever you want to do. I don't care about that part either, but generally it is supposed to be off the top before anybody, including the government, gets any of their deal. But that might be, and then, or she might say, okay, a little bit then. Or you might be able to talk her into it, and then that would be the 10% of the entire household. But I got a great idea, Go back in time and discuss this before you get married, you idiot. How about that? How about we do that? Let's talk about as important a thing as this is to you. You think you would have brought it up. Okay. And I didn't read this whole thing. Maybe he did or something like that, or maybe he thought he did or whatever. I didn't read this whole thing, but as I said, I'm trying to end it. Oh, and actually I was just supposed to give a quick answer to these. But okay, so we'll include that one as having been answered. But that would be the idea on that. Christians believe in that. But if you are married to your spouse, you guys have to compromise on stuff. And your penalty for not bringing it up before you got married is that maybe you don't get your way at all. That would be your penalty on that. And that would be your stupid tax that you have to pay if you want to stay married. I need some advice, need a baby step. Been super responsible with that. Okay, great. We'll find out exactly what that is. It wasn't so self-apparent or quickly apparent. Beginner questions. Good. Do the $1,000, that would be does the $1,000 from baby step 1 count into my baby step 3 emergency fund? Okay, there's other questions as well for beginner questions, and those, that might be all of them. Is it? Oh yeah, that's all of them. Okay, but as far as just to answer that one, the $1,000 is the beginning of your 3-month emergency fund. You don't need to keep both. You don't need to say, well, this is my baby step 1 emergency fund and this is my full one. No, you only have the full one. But that $1,000 doesn't become part of your full emergency fund. You don't have the full emergency fund at all until every single non-mortgage debt is paid off. Baby step 6 question. All right. And most of the time, this is going to be, I want to invest more instead of pay the mortgage because the mortgage brings in this, or the mortgage interest is this little amount, in the market. I can make more. That's called debt leverage. We don't do that. Mr. Ramsey does not like that. He does not condone that. That's a no. You invest 15% only until the house is paid off. Then when the house is paid off, guess what? You're in step 7, and next to step 7, it says build wealth and give. And the way you build wealth is you can invest any amount you want after that, Bubba, but not while you have a mortgage. You do not debt leverage your mortgage. Am I crazy to hold back on baby step 4, 5, and 6 to be prepared for these costs? Okay, we'll see what those costs are. Am I crazy to hold back on baby steps 4, 5, and 6 to be prepared for these costs? Okay. Probably not. You might have to cut back on spending for other things, but we'll see exactly what that is. Judging my position. Okay. We can do that. Should you do a course on what? Course to get a better job. You doing a course doesn't necessarily mean you will get a better job, so you got to weigh that in. Where should I put $22,250 in my Roth IRA? We do not put it into an index fund like VTI. I think that's Vanguard's S&P 500 fund. And you don't put it in an index fund either. You put it in managed mutual funds that make more than the index. And we'll get more into depth into that. Why has Dave changed his mind on the 20% down payment, but not the 15-year mortgage and 25 take-home pay rule? Yeah, that's a new thing. I think within the past year or two, where they have started saying, I think even 5%. I think they say 5 to 20% now. And so I don't know. That I know of, he hasn't come out and explained that. So I do not know why. So I would like to hear that as well, because generally he wanted you to do the 20% down payment so that you would not have private mortgage insurance every month. Maybe it came up to something like the only thing I could think of would be it came down to like since prices have risen, that it would still be better for you to get into a house. Even if you have to pay private mortgage insurance and have only put 5% down, so you'll still owe 95% plus all the interest on that 95% for the house. Maybe he decided the juice is worth the squeezing that, but I don't know. Again, I do not know that he has talked about that. If I remember, I'll take a look in the comments here and see if somebody says something about, or I'll Google it too and see if it's on there. But yeah, I didn't hear any, and this was when I was watching most of the time, watching most shows. I'll ask my pal Sid too to see if she knows. Low credit scores and renting in New York City. Yeah, you might have a problem there. So the idea would be to have no credit score. That way they can't hold it against you. Some of them still will, but there should be some people still, even in New York City, that allow you to rent without that. Otherwise, maybe you can't do that in New York City. Maybe you have to go to Jersey or some other borough. And sorry about that. You're not guaranteed to do whatever you want to. This is what, hey, you know what? If you didn't borrow money, you wouldn't have a low credit score. You'd have no credit score, and that would be better than a low one. Roth IRA, then what? Okay, we'll see what they mean about that. If they will have more than, if the 15% will max out the Roth IRA and then they need something additional, or they just think you're supposed to do something additional. I don't know. Need to buy a car. You got to always, the people that call in and would ask questions here, those would be a sus group as far as saying need, because need in this realm here in the Ramsey verse is the overused phrase of the year, of every year. You need to buy a car. Maybe you don't. Maybe you can fix the one you have. Maybe you have a good reason for not wanting to fix it. So, but we don't know. I'll read that later, or we'll read that on the next stream. Question about used car search. Okay, that might be interesting. I've done that a few times. So I do have experience doing that. Husband on workman's comp. What would Dave do? All right. I don't know what the problem is on that. You would get better so you can get back to work as fast as you can. 403B Roth conversions. All right. And you do a Roth conversion if it makes sense. Mostly meaning you have the cash right now to pay the taxes that you would owe to convert it from a regular 403B. Same as a 401k if you're doing a conversion to a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, you would have to pay the taxes on it because you didn't pay the taxes in the beginning. Some inconvenience, and hopefully this is about emergency fund turning a disaster into an inconvenience, and that's what money does. Unfortunately, that's one of the great things that money can do. Okay, how do parents manage? I don't know. I can tell you how I manage. Depends on what. Paid off home. Now what? Theoretically, that would put you in step 7, and it's build wealth and give. Have some fun. Spend some fun money too. Things that change for you after you pay it off your debt completely. It's the financial piece. It's your life gets simpler. Finances get simpler. And just utter peace. You don't have to pay anybody anything except for your necessary living expenses like rent or mortgage payment. You're not having to make payments for stuff you already, in the case of like if you use that at a restaurant, stuff you already ate and it's gone and it's been gone, but you still have to pay for it. So that would be the thing. You don't have to do that. You pay for things as you get them. And that leads to financial peace. Alrighty. We'll call that a show. Once more, I'm Coach Steve Money, Ramsey Solutions Certified Financial Coach, and you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation/assessment with me by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. That's right up there. And we will make that happen. That'll be a video conferencing appointment. And again, that is 100% free. Donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. It's down at the bottom. CashApp, alternatively, $Coach Steve Money. It was not taken, so I took it. Walmart gift card to that same email address, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. You can also ask me financial questions or any other questions about my channel. Upcoming streams, and they're subject to change, but probably not, because it doesn't commit me to any particular one. The after show, Ramsey Show after show is 11:05 a.m. Eastern time on weekdays that I'm available, answering your financial questions streams at various random times. On days I don't do an after show, especially the weekends, and that's like Saturday and Sunday. And normally that's going to be 8 o'clock. It was a little bit later than that. I think closer to 8:30 tonight on Saturday. But Saturdays and Sundays, normally I can do one of those, especially now that football season is drawing to a close here. Alrighty, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And as always, make smart financial decisions every day.